Hey, folks, welcome back to Reaction Bite Radio. This is your host, Kevin Postwaite, with your co host.
Julie Price.
And with us today is our good friend, Ben Nowalk. Hey, Ben.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
Doing good, doing good. Just waiting to get this fishing season going.
Yeah. So, Ben, for everybody listening, is a local angler here in West Virginia and pretty accomplished fella. How many state teams have you made, Ben, for the Bass Nation?
Technically, I've qualified legitimately for one state team, but I've qualified for the Southeast Regional one time, which I think was close to being one of the last state teams. Then I qualified for the Bass Nation State Championship at Grand Lake 24, and then I qualified this past year to go on and fish Bass Nation National Championship up in La Crosse on the upper Mississippi.
Yeah. So, really, three, I guess, would be total. I mean, they change them back and forth between the regionals and then they go straight to the national championship. And that's getting ready to change again, but that's going to be a podcast for another day. It's actually going to get better, I think. We'll end up getting into that one of these days soon, very soon, probably. The hunting and fishing show that's coming up, most likely. One of the themes here is talking to folks about their fishing journey. So tell us about yours, Ben. How did you get started into bass fishing and fishing in general?
Well, in general, I mean, if you want to go way back, my stepdad, Carl, took my brother and I just pond fishing, doing the typical bluegill fishing and whatnot. And we kind of started to get hooked by it. After that, I had another friend. He was more serious into bass fishing. He had a boat. And of course, being young attracted me to wanting to go with them a lot more than being out on the lake. They actually bought my first spinning rod, and we'd go over to Burlington Lake in Ohio and trout fish at a pay lake, which was fun. But after that, we just started fishing little rivers and wank fishing, wading in the river, stuff like that. Just going anywhere we could. One winter, it was actually the blizzard of '93. My brother and I and my stepbrother made like $150 shoveling snow. Took the entire $150, went to Walmart, bought a tackle box and nothing but tackle. I had a great time with that. As we've gotten older, it was kind of just a hobby deal. I love to fish, but I was not like serious. Then my brother Sam, as a lot of you all know who he is, he ended up getting involved and becoming friends with Doodle Atkins. And Doodle got Sam into tournament fishing, and just hearing his stories, and it kind of started to get me interested. I ended up joining Mountaineer Bass Masters back, I think, in 2017 as a non-boater, and fished in my first bass club. Had a good time. Then a year later, I bought my first boat in 2018. I chose Z18 and became a boater. Here we are, what's 2025 now? So in 7 years.
It's 2026.
Well, 2026 now. But yeah, it's still new. It's still new. But I've had a little bit of success, and I made up with it now. My wife, she wants to kick me in the butt because our garage is full of totes and tackle and all that good stuff. But it's my passion, love.
Yeah, the bug gets you, and then you just don't stop. It's a different kind of addiction, right?
This is a little bit off topic, kind of, but I thought it was neat. After the qualifier at East Lynn this past fall, a bunch of us went to Kentucky Fried Chicken to eat, and Doodle Adkins' sister walked in. It was like, I saw the bass boats outside. Are you guys fishing? We were like, yeah, it's the state qualifier. She said, I'm Doodle's sister.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very strange timing.
Yeah, they are some great people. Gloria, I don't think she's ever met a stranger. She's great. That, obviously that's Doodle's wife. I didn't know Doodle like my brother knew Doodle, but Doodle treated me like he's known me forever. So I really got to know him down at Lake Hartwell when we qualified for the state team there in the Southeast Regional. So, and of course he ended up winning that.
I fished a championship or a qualifier. I can't remember which.
Yeah, okay. Julie fished Eastland with Doodle. Doodle was throwing a little crankbait that he threw all the time and offered Julie the crankbait. She turned it down.
Wow.
Can you believe that? I was like, man, I would have taken that thing in a second.
It wasn't
he was like, I really want you to have it. Yeah.
Okay. He also told me they don't make them anymore.
Right.
We all know I lose crankbaits. Well, there was a crankbait I used to throw. It was a baby bass Model A bomber. I caught fish like crazy on that crankbait, and I lost it one day. I have replaced it, and none of them work right. Kevin's like, oh, that was one of the old ones. They changed the style of it a little bit. He got on eBay, bought me one of the old ones, presented it to me during a bass tournament. I got you something. It's one of the old style Model A baby bass. I tied it on first cast. I lost it down in some brush. It was gone
Oh, no.
forever. So, no, I did not want Doodle's special bait that they don't make anymore. Anyway, that's why.
I can promise you he probably had a few more.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why.
just about a couple of hundred more.
I didn't feel like that was good stewardship of the bait.
I
Well,
get
you couldn't have got
Can
paired with a
understand that.
better person for East Lynn, I will tell you that.
I blanked.
But how did Doodle do?
Doodle won, I think.
So,
Funny story though. Ben's like, I thought we were going to talk about me.
Anything to keep this memory alive. It's
He
awesome.
was throwing in a tree. He's like, okay, I'm done with this tree. He's pulling away. And, I'm always throwing off the back of the boat. I got snagged. I was like, hey, sorry, I got snagged. He's like, okay, I'll go get it. He's going back towards the tree. He threw in there and caught his biggest fish of the day
Wow.
because I got snagged.
yeah, Lynn was like excited that she got snagged.
Yeah.
Because he was like, hey, that's great.
Yeah, I caught the biggest fish of my day because you got snagged in that tree.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, that's the typical Doodle story, though. Like, he's doing something nice, and then he comes out on top for having done something nice for somebody, which is always a good story because so many of those stories go the other way. Somebody that's a jerk that does something and gets paid off for it. But Doodle was the opposite.
He
Always
was.
went out of his way to help everybody.
He really took my brother under his wing. In my opinion, my brother Sam is one of the better fishermen in the state. A lot of that is because of Doodle and what Doodle's taught him. But I don't know, it's hard to replace a guy like Doodles.
Really.
No, you can't replace him.
But you can honor him, and I know Gloria does that every year with the tournament there at East Lynn,
Yep.
which I think you and Sam are always involved in that, as far as I know.
Sam is more than me. I haven't had a chance to fish that tournament, to be honest with you. I'm hoping maybe this year. Just all depends on my schedule because I have a lot. I have quite a few, and then my son Garrett, which is the high school trail now, did it for the first time last year, and now going into year 2. So
Nice.
he's getting pretty serious with it.
So what are you fishing this year? What trails?
Well, obviously, we're definitely fishing the great outdoors. They've had a great trail the last
We need to
handful of
get them
years.
on.
It's more local this year. We're going to Cumberland, I think, to start the year off here in a couple months, mid-March. Then they've got a 2-dare at Yatesville, and I think Summersville, Stonewall, and the Kanawha River is another 2-dare. That one's supposed to be pretty big. They've got a couple things big planned for that tournament from what I hear, so that's something to look out for. Fishing Bass Nation. My brother and I are actually going to team up and fish the team trail this year. So you guys will see us then. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So, and then I've got Garrett's deal with the high school.
Yeah. So you're going to boat captain for that?
Yes, I did it last year. I'm telling you, one of the hardest things as a fisherman is to sit in that driver's seat and watch 2 kids fish and not listen to what you want to tell them. That you're trying to explain to them. You're coming up on a log. You got to hit that log, but they want to cast at it when you're like 60 yards away. I'm like, there's no one in front of you. Let's slow down, take your time, be patient, wait to get a little closer.
Now, sir, you telling somebody to slow down fishing.
Yeah, you experienced that. But no, and on their terms, I always tell them to cast with a purpose. Don't just make a cast. Look at what you have, look what the bank or whatever is offering, and then determine where you want to cast and stuff like that. They just want to cast the cast and have no purpose with it. So they're learning from the first tournament last year to the last tournament they fished. They improved every tournament. I was proud of them. Looking to see what we can do next year coming up and hopefully build off what we did in year 1.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
I wish we had more high school fishing teams. I think that's the one place West Virginia could do. And I know part of it's lack of boats, right? Lack of boat coaches. I think you probably have plenty of kids that would want to do it. It would be nice to have more kids involved in that, but it's hard.
I've had people reach out to me about it and wanting to fish. And you tell them like, well, you got to have a boat and a boat captain. After that, it's like you don't hear from them because of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad. it keeps some kids out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fishing, it's not cheap. It's unfortunate. I'm excited about having the kayakers back this year in Bass Nation because I think that's probably one of the places where there's less barriers to entry there as far as starting to tournament fish than almost anywhere else because it's more accessible, not as expensive with running the boat and all that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that. I think that's going to work out pretty well. I hope it's looking like
Yeah.
it.
As a plus, bringing the kayak division in is definitely going to help the member base grow in the state.
Yeah, definitely, which is nice because we'll get into another episode, but that matters when it comes to sending people to the state team and to nationals and all that. So it's a big deal. It really is. So
Yep.
we're happy to have those folks come along. And
Mhm.
it gives people another way to get to in that case, the kayak classic, which is nice. One thing about it, Bass puts on a great show. Bassmaster.
100%. Agreed.
Julie's rolling her eyes because Wisconsin was tough.
I got paired with two boaters up there that were open to letting me fish. On day one, I had a guy from Missouri, and we went to a spot, and I think he had his limit by and within the first 2 hours, and I was on my way there. I had three real fast, and every other fish I caught after that were just under the 15-inch length limit. But he ended up having battery troubles and kind of slowed our day down. Then day two, had a guy from New York. He blanked the first day, and he's like, "Just tell me what you want to do." So I got blessed there. I told him what we wanted to do. We had a deal going where we focused on the wing dams. He said, I have a couple marked. I said, well, let's go. And I caught three more the second day, and I had a chance to get a limit that day. I lost a 2-pounder at the boat. I lost one other not too long after that. I did pretty well, I thought, for not having control of the boat, but it was fun. It was a great experience and met a lot of awesome people, and hope to get back there and do it again.
Yeah, I told Julie, I think I know I had more fun than she did. And I was attending meetings and all that stuff with Bass and meeting people. So she came in freezing to death and just terrible day. And I was like, hey, I'm at the Japanese Bass president. I got some stickers and
Yeah, he was all on cloud nine. And I was like,
so speaking of championships, I'm going to change the subject a little bit and let's talk about something good.
Okay, yes.
Which is the first state team I made was when we all went to Hartwell. That's where I first met you and your brother. And what you all may not know, unless Julie would have told you when you all were fishing the state championship, is on that trip, you're the first people to actually talk to me. When you guys invited me to dinner, no one had even acknowledged my existence. And that was really, odd to me because I was like, I thought it was a team. Instead, it's like everybody just, as far as the anglers competing, nobody, said, hey, boo, nothing. And I thought that was the strangest thing until you and your brother were like, hey, do you want to have dinner? And what I can say is I have always remembered that. And I've always appreciated that because that made me feel like a team member. It changed my whole trip. And thank you for that. And I appreciate that. And that's Ben Nowalk for anybody that, is listening. And Sam. I mean, two guys who are going to make you feel at home when no one else is going to. So, thanks for that, Ben and Sam. I've never forgotten it. And that's the way I always have now tried to make anybody feel whenever we go on any of these trips, because it's tough when you don't know anyone. Sometimes if you're new to the scene, you have no idea. It's a big deal. So I certainly appreciate that.
Yes,
really
I attribute a lot of that, mine and my brother's personality to my mom. She passed away a couple years ago, but my mom never met a stranger, and she would never leave anyone out. And that I take a lot of that from what my mom taught us. We were just being us, and that's how we roll. So we're friends with anybody, man. We'll talk to you like we've known you for years.
And that's what most of West Virginia fishermen are like. It's the one thing that the board of Bass Nation now, we've really pushed to make sure everybody feels included. And that's great. Like I said, something I'll never forget. Whenever Julie drew you at the state championship, I was like, you've got a good draw. He's a good guy. You're going to enjoy it.
Which leads us into talking about the state championship.
which Julie's just been dying to talk about.
I mean, Ben wanted to talk about it.
Hey, I will say this. I've been waiting to talk about this, and I was crossing my fingers you guys were going to ask me to come on to talk about it, because my wife, no offense, but I tell her it's one of the most memorable moments I ever had on my boat. It was an awesome,
we had a good day.
it's an unbelievable day. I know in your last podcast, you talked about how hard it is to catch 10 pounds for limit in West Virginia, let alone on the river. Don't know if I'm jumping into it too soon, but it was a good day. And I can go into more detail here in a few if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard the story from Julie's perspective at least 50 times. I would love to hear it from yours because I came into it late in the day and was shocked. So I can imagine being you.
If we're going to talk about it, though, we've got to talk about the very beginning of the day. Do you remember how our day started?
Are you talking about as we started fishing or at
No,
takeoff?
I'm talking about at the ramp.
Fill me
For
in.
anybody that doesn't know, Julie has a tendency to run her mouth a little bit. So she was talking smack.
Well, now wait, because I get in your boat. Kevin's boat was right beside yours. I had fished with JJ Dickens the day before.
Right.
And he's walking by, and you're making fun of him because I beat him.
I did not make fun of anybody.
Yes, sir, you did.
It was good-natured ribbing.
Okay, you were ribbing him because I beat him on the back of his boat. And I said, well, I'm getting ready to do the same thing to you, so you probably shouldn't make fun of your friend.
All right. It's all coming back a little bit now.
And Kevin is over there, and he went, Julie, that's not nice. Don't do that. And I was like, what? I'm just saying what's about to happen because he's making fun of somebody because I beat him. No, who's not nice? And he's like, stop it.
And JJ, if you're listening, it was all in good fun, I'm sure.
It totally
was. Like, it
Totally
was. Like,
Yes.
but you have to think from my perspective, that's a little offensive.
Julie's overly sensitive.
It's like she's sitting there probably like, now Kevin told me this guy was a great guy.
Yeah, wait, he says I'm overly sensitive. Do you know one time we were fishing a draw tournament and they were drawing the draws at the ramp? Somebody said out loud, thank God I didn't draw that woman.
Oh, wow.
Julie was the only girl.
To this day, nobody will tell me who said that.
She was campaigning to find out who said it.
I offered money.
No. Going back after that, so do you remember at takeoff when Ken was announcing us?
Yes.
He had to throw on the bullhorn that you were going to whip my butt, basically. And
You were about to get schooled by me, I believe was the...
exactly what it was. Yeah, I remember we took off. I'll be honest with you, it was the very first time I have ever been on that water. I've never practiced, nothing. I thank Josh Malone, who was my non-boater on day one, to just give me a couple spots. And I talked to him and asked him, I said, do you mind if I hit a certain spot again? He said, no, go ahead. So we take off, and I remember I flipped over and I caught a nice spot. It was almost right off the bat. And I was like, all right, good deal. And I told her, I said, there's this stretch of bank I want to hit. I'm going to fish fast. I think you told me just do what I got to do, right?
You said you need to put on a spinner bait because I'm not slowing down for you.
Man, you're making me out to be a bad boater right now.
No, I'm not. We had a great day. We had a lot of laughs.
Man, we went up through there and I had a limit within an hour probably. It was crazy.
You had called 5 times before I had a fish.
Yeah. And it was probably one of the most unbelievable stretches. It was like that Miracle Mile stretch. And it was that bank was loaded with fish. I think between the two of us, we caught, let's see here, you had 10 what that day?
I don't remember, believe it or
It was
not.
almost 11 pounds, and I had almost 9 pounds, and that wasn't included the ones that was called out.
Did you call 10 or 15 times?
It was a lot. I was upgrading 3 or 4 ounces here and there, but at one point I said, hey, let's go on up here. And she's like, why do you want to leave right now?
Yeah, I think I said that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard my whole life.
And I can remember one spot up toward the end of the stretch that we were running and found this big rock pile. I think you caught 2 or 3 of your...
Was that when I first caught one? Because I stuck with my jig. You said, I've got to retie. Sorry. I thought this is my chance. And I had 2 or 3 keepers before you were done retying. That was the first fish I had caught.
That was probably almost a mile into that stretch. And obviously she talked me into staying just a little bit longer. We went around the corner, caught a couple more. The whole time she's like, "You got a big bag." I said, "I don't think you realize how big of a bag you have." She's like, "Yours are bigger." I was like, "We'll see."
I had no clue until
So go ahead.
it was over. Like, I mean, there was no nerves for me. There was nothing because I went into that day in like 34th place.
Yeah.
I wasn't winning. I wasn't making the state team. I was just fishing and having a good time. So even when I caught that big bag of fish that I didn't know was a big bag of fish because I was just fishing, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I might make it. I had already lost. I was just having a good time. It was bizarre.
When we got back and pulled into the lot and we were loading our fish up into the bags, Kevin's face, he was so wide-eyed. He was in disbelief of what you had.
Like, why are you looking at me like that?
I was, because I said, I think he went by, he said, "Man, Julie's got a good bag of fish." I'm like, "Really?" You're like, "Oh yeah, it's a good bag." I was like, "Okay." So I go up to her, I said, "Hey, Ben said you got a good bag of fish." She's like, "I think he's got a lot bigger bag than me."
I was like, I've got 5 fish, but they're nothing special. They're
Yeah.
just.
And
Then somebody else came and was like, Ben said you had a big bag of fish. And I was like, I wish Ben would quit telling everybody that. I've just got 5 fish. They're not special.
she starts pulling fish out. She says something. I was like, that's a pretty good fish. She's like, "Well, that's my smallest one." "What is your biggest one?" I hadn't seen one that big in 2 days.
It was an awesome day. And I don't think we'll ever come across a bank as loaded as that bank was. It was an unreal day.
I still want to know where you wanted to go when you said we're going to move. Like, fish hadn't stopped biting. We've caught 22 pounders off a bank. Where are we going, Ben?
She tells me, she's like, "What, you just want to leave?" Like, Ben, leave 2 pounders?
No, I knew of another little stretch that I wanted to try that we did on day one. That was a big grass flat. I just wanted to try it, but I'm glad you taught me. And we had an awesome day and definitely a memory that's going to last a lifetime.
Remember, we stopped and
Fizz to fish,
fizzed
right?
a fish.
Yes,
Remember
we did.
that? And then
Yes.
your line was flying out. I was trying to see if it was attached, so I grabbed it and it was flying out. I cut and cauterized my hand. It was a wild day.
That is a Julie fishing day right there.
It was a good time.
You can catch
But
the biggest bag of the tournament, save a fish, cut your hand, and it's all a good day.
It was definitely a day to remember. I'm glad I was a part of what you experienced because it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
People don't realize, unless they fish with Julie, is fishing with Julie comes with commentary. She will say what's on her mind as the day is going along. Whether you want to hear it or not, it's coming out. It's really funny. Sometimes it comes with looks too. You see some of those looks, Ben? Whenever she's like, "Where do you want to go?" I'm sure that came with a look of like your disbelief of why you would want to leave.
I still don't know what he was thinking. Ben's known for being a good fisherman, but what were you thinking?
I was thinking he'd get a big one to go to anchor his bag.
I was looking for a bigger fish. I don't know.
There were plenty. I mean, I don't know. I think you just got so antsy. You just were antsy.
I think what it was is I caught so many fish on that stretch, I got bored.
Yeah, you got complacent. You're like, "Man, I bet they're biting like this everywhere. I need to go find out." Newsflash, they were not. They were, but they weren't.
I'm chastising him like I'm a school marm. I'm like, "You've caught 22 pounders and you want to leave to go where? Where are you going to go? You don't leave fish to look for fish."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was a good time.
When I weighed that bag in and everybody went, I'm like, "What's wrong?" They're like, "You just weighed in the biggest bag of a 2-day tournament. You're going to the national championship." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm in 34th place." Tony said, "Well, you're in first place today." That was over a year ago. I'm still kind of like, what happened?
Usually, if you're in the mix kind of in day one and you go into day two and you have a really good day, in the state championship, it usually puts you right in the mix of qualifying to move on a lot of times because a lot of those guys that do really well on day one kind of fall off on day two for the most part.
I'm glad I didn't know. I think had I had any clue, I wouldn't have been just living in the moment. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
would have been,
fish
like,
freely and
thinking and
laugh.
yeah.
So
So
was that the year we qualified from Gallipolis? Was that the
yes, that
qualifier
was
for the
yeah, we
Southeast?
qualified from Gallipolis.
I feel like something memorable happened to Ben at Gallipolis that year too. Do you
Oh my
remember?
gosh. Oh, I can tell you a story from that now it wasn't a fun memory. Huh?
The bird.
The bird, yes. I was up above the Canal River. Here comes this heron. I'm just looking at it, and we're going to meet. I'm like, please, please don't bomb me right now. And sure enough, you couldn't have asked for a more pinpoint spot. I mean, he hammered my driver's console, and I ducked because I knew what was coming. And
There was so much bird crap on your boat.
It was awful. It was like someone dumped a bucket. It's terrible. And the funny thing was, people started getting texts about that almost in real time. Ben just got pooped on. What?
I had a picture just to show.
The picture?
We can. Yeah.
You can send it.
Yeah. If you send it,
Here,
I
maybe
think we can
I'll
add
send
one.
it.
Yeah. We'll add it
Yeah, we'll do it in
post-production.
production.
Because, man,
That's funny. Yeah.
that was wild. Literally. I've known of people hitting birds, but I've not seen the big blue
They
heron take a big dump on your
definitely
It
return
felt
the favor.
awful. Right in the oh god. Like I said, it was funny because people were getting immediately. It's like,
I mean,
I
I
don't know who
come
your
back.
partner was that
What?
day, but I think they were just immediately sending texts.
It was crazy. Yeah, that was a good year last year for a lot of.
A lot of fun. We talked about what you're fishing this year. So who's your sponsor list now, Ben? Who are you with?
It's pretty much just Great Outdoors. They've taken care of me for a handful of years now. I'm telling you, Grant and what he has going on down there um, is second to none. He just added on. He's able to sell Ranger and Triton now as well. To add to the nitro and tracker deal and plus all the pontoons and stuff that he has. He's really got it going good down there. He's running the business to a T. It's located in Lavalette. Just as you come across the railroad tracks past the gas station and Taco Bell's right there on the right. In the last year or so, he's added a tackle shop. It has a lot more inventory than your typical box chain stores. He's got a lot of inventory. Every day they're adding stuff to the shelves. Any kind of tackle, terminal tackle. He's got some of the specialty stuff in terminal tackle that you don't find at a lot of these other stores. Rods, reels. He's got it all there now. Whatever you need for boating, fishing, it's there. He's actually got the open house coming up here at the end of the month, January 30th and 1st. It's a 2-day event, a Friday and Saturday. He usually gets pros to come in. This year, he's got 3 coming in representing Triton, Ranger, and Nitro. He's got Shaw Grigsby for Triton and Dustin Connell for Ranger, Andy Montgomery for Nitro. So those guys will be there.
Wow.
I believe both days. So if you guys want to meet some awesome pros, I mean, Dustin Connell is second to none. I mean, he's done well. Shaw Grigsby is obviously no slouch. Andy is very solid and seems to be a good guy. He's going to have like 10% off tackle. So big sale. He has a big swap meet. A lot of local vendors will have their stuff there. They usually have food trucks, and I don't know if you'll have radio there this
Wow.
year. It's a massive event. He's had Chris Zaldane, Tucker Smith came last year. He's had Edwin Evers has been there. He does it right. He does it big. It's fun. It's an event. So if you guys are free, January 30th, 31st, head on down to Lavalette at Ferguson's Great Outdoors.
I think we're going to try to get him on at some point to talk about the tournament trail.
Yeah. The Great Outdoors.
Which I'm sure he's very busy, but we're trying to not only be Bass Nation.
Yeah, we want to get folks from around the state that want to talk about their tournament trails, what they got going on. Who's the tournament director for the Great Outdoor Marine?
Chase Sanson he's the director. I think he was brought on to do all that. I think it was last year was his first year. Chase has done really well with it. A lot of y'all may or may not know he does a lot of the Bassmaster Elite series and whatever else that goes along with Bassmaster with photos and video. He's had a couple pictures on Bassmaster magazine already.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's pretty cool. Good for him. That's great.
Yep. That's awesome to see local people doing big things.
Yeah, it's really good. You mentioned the tackle store. The one thing I love about local tackle stores is how much they have that, like you said, the big box stores don't have.
Yeah.
Because you can go to Cabela's and buy just your regular run of the mill stuff, but any kind of cutting edge specialty stuff, smaller tackle, retailers or dealers that are starting up, it's the small stores is where that happens.
Mhm.
So I always like that, the tackle box over there closed in South Point. So that area was needed someone to fill that void, and it sounds like the folks there at Great Outdoors are doing that. So that's pretty awesome.
That's a huge selection of stuff, wall after wall, shelf after shelf. He's got a lot of stuff going on there. So,
So you're still
yeah.
running the Nitro again this year?
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. Excited to get it going, man. Just I hate the winter months. Ready to
Yeah, us too. We just got back from South Carolina. It was tough, toughest it's been in the wintertime down there for quite some time. Usually it's the time to catch big ones, but it
right.
was I blanked a couple days down there, which is really unusual. I don't know what they're doing, and a bunch of people didn't know because the parking lots were empty. It's just one of those things you don't really see in the South very much, especially whenever there's
Uh,
free times. It
Especially
was,
where you all were at. My brother and I talked about going tomorrow. Last week when we were doing it, I'm going down to Cumberland and fishing just to go. Temperatures were right, but I think it's like 90% chance of rain. I'm not dealing with it. So,
yeah, to drive
uh,
that far to fish in bad weather is not nearly as much fun as tournament
yeah.
fishing in bad weather. It's a little different story.
February will pick up. I've got to go down there and start practicing and looking around for the first one out for the Great Outdoors.
I fished one of the coldest tournaments I've ever fished on Lake Cumberland. It was the Toyota Championship down there one year. It started out in the morning. I think it was in the, I don't know, 50s or 60s. And by the middle of the day, it was in the 30s and dropped down like into the 20s. It was awful. It was so cold because it was, warm and it rained the whole time. The guy I was with actually had to stop and ask the tournament director to go back to his camper to get warm clothes because he was wearing shorts when we
Wow.
started, then was just froze. I mean, I thought he was gonna pass out, like, it was terrible.
Was that just a handful of years ago, like a few years ago?
Mhm. Yeah,
Jacob Wheeler,
yeah.
those guys fished that. I think Jacob Wheeler was in
Oh,
it was in December, right?
it was in December. Yeah, he may have.
Yeah.
I don't remember who all was in it. I was so cold that I
Kevin
was
Pope.
just happy to get off of there. It was tough, but I love the lake, though, and in
Yeah.
practice, I caught a bunch of fish at,
It Cumberland's like Summersville on steroids. A lot of
yeah,
similar
yeah. There was a guy I fished with. I was a co-angler in that, and he fished with a frog in that cold. He caught like a 5.5, I think, on that frog in the middle of these reeds or not reeds, just stick ups.
Oh, yeah.
It was
They got the little pocket, but yeah. So they what happened was they drew the lake down, I think, work on the dam at one point, and it created a lot of that growth to have that buckbrush or whatever you wanna call it,
yeah, yeah.
and now it's all over the lake.
That stuff holds bass. That's for sure. Saw a lot of them. Julie's got a question.
Everybody has to answer this that comes on. If you
Alright.
had to fish with one lure, one bait for the rest of your life, one color, what would it be?
I'm sure that most people that know me know what I'm gonna throw, and that's a spinnerbait. Uh, Mouse spinnerbait. That's
A war
Now
mouse
that would be a
spinnerbait.
good name for the Ben Nowalk War Mouse spinnerbait. I like that.
Hey, listen, I've been telling my brother he makes his own spinnerbaits. The name I told him, I said, dude, we got to sell these. We got too many people asking for them. We can name them Slammin' Sammys.
There
Yeah.
you go.
You can do
But
a
he makes,
slammin' Sammy and a war mouse.
there you go. No, spinnerbait, there's nothing better than a nice spinnerbait bite.
Strongly disagree,
Right at it,
but
man. Get off
but
of
it's
it.
it's your bait you have to fish with for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
It's
no,
Probably throw, depending on where I'm at and the conditions, I'll throw 80% of the time. I just like it. It's my confidence bait.
it is funny because for whatever reason we fall in love with a certain bait or a certain style of fishing, and it just suits you, and you end up doing that. Like you said, 80% of the time you're going to fish the same thing or variation of the same thing.
Live or die
I've
by
seen
it.
that so many times, myself included.
I used to be a square bill, like 3XDs, something like that, but got away from that. I was a swim bait guy. Now on to spinner baits.
Have you gotten into the big swim baits at all, like the big glide bait stuff?
Not the glide baits yet. No, the bigger, soft swim baits.
Yeah, like
Yes.
mag drafts and all that.
Yeah. I don't care to talk about it because it's over with. But up in lacrosse, we were practicing day one. It was late in the day. I said, man, I'm going to pick this up and just throw it. It was one of those new Chris Zaldane line swim baits, and probably 5 casts in, bam, 2-pounder. I caught a few more. I ended up using it, caught a lot of fish on it, and it made me a believer. I practiced with Will Diffenbaugh, and I told him, I said, I don't understand. This big swim bait will catch 1.5 pound, 2-pounders. I'm going to throw this down on the river at home, see what happens. I've gotten into it, and I've bought a few more, a little bit bigger baits and stuff.
It's fun to throw. I've got a couple of the big glides that I've fished in South Carolina. I have yet to catch one on the big glide. I'm sure it's use or error at this point. There's an art to it. They're fun to throw. They do wear you out, though.
Yes, they do. I've had lots of followers on those big glide baits.
Yatesville seems like a place where that could be good. Yatesville has some big fish in it.
For the size of that lake, the amount of tournaments there every weekend, it's not just one tournament. There's a lot of times there's 2, 3, sometimes 4 tournaments going on at one time at Yatesville every weekend. The pressure that it gets with the production that it still has, it's crazy. There is a lot of good fish in there.
I used to cuss every time Yatesville showed up on the schedule, but I've made up with Yatesville now.
I have not.
I have.
Isn't Yatesville the spider lake?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I touched the biggest spider I've ever seen in my life. Kevin ran into a tree or something, and he was like, push us off that tree. So I stick my hand out, put my entire hand on a giant wolf spider that was on that tree.
It was big, woolly.
It was furry. It was awful. I can still feel it. So that's what I think of when I think of Yatesville, is the giant spider.
My wife, I think she caught her biggest largemouth. She will probably correct me if I'm not right, but she caught I think it was a little over 4-pound largemouth out last year. Yeah. So
nice.
She was excited about that. So.
I'm sure.
She loves it. She's gotten into it quite a bit and loves the Great Outdoors Trail. So it gives us an opportunity to fish together. Yep.
I do remember seeing pictures of you all fishing together last year. So that's awesome.
Well, if I would have realized that, we could have had you on as another fishing couple.
She enjoyed it. She's carried the load a few times for us, and she lets me know it too.
Well, yeah. I mean,
of course. Yes.
If Kevin and I could ever catch fish on the same day, we would win tournaments. It's always one or the other. One of us will be just smashing them, and the other can't get a bite. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. So, Ben, lakes or rivers?
Probably rivers, because I like current. More current, the better.
Sounds, especially with the spinnerbait.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody liking the lakes better.
Some people do. They really love fishing lakes.
And I think it might have something to do with, especially living in West Virginia, the size of our lakes. My answer could change if I live in Alabama or Tennessee or somewhere like that. Most of our lakes are not a river style lake. It's just dammed up from being man-made.
Right.
Just for flood. Yeah. But yeah, I like current. So if you just put me anywhere there's current, I'm happy.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, I guess we should. Ben, thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck next year. Good luck with the Great Outdoors and the trail, all the things that you all have going on down there. We always appreciate the support and the friendship. Tell your brother and family we said hello. Like I said, I will always have the memory of Ben and Sam being the 2 nicest guys in the world to me on at least one day whenever I was feeling pretty lonely, and I really appreciate that very much.
Are you guys going to be at the hunting and fishing show?
I may try to get up there at some point. It all depends on my work schedule. But
if not, we'll be live.
If so, look us up.
Yes, if you're there, stop by.
Listen, I appreciate y'all having me and spending an hour or so talking. Good times. And I look forward to seeing you guys as well this year.
We'll end up checking in with you sometime during this year so we can see how things are going with the Great Outdoor Trail. And hopefully you've won first place. We can get you and your wife on here to talk about that. So that would be pretty awesome.
Yes.
So we'll have you back.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks a bunch.